John, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, John. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk to you. Listen, okay, so first of all, before we get started, I just have to say you executive produced Land of Bad, which was one of my favorite action movies of last year. So super props on that one.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm happy about that movie. Will Eubank did a terrific job directing that movie, and that was one of my producing partners who I've worked on a ton of films with. David Frigerio co-wrote it and produced it and did a hell of a job with it. And I was going to direct it at one point, and that's how I got involved with it. And then I ended up doing the Muzzle stuff, and Will rightfully directed it because he co-wrote it and he did a hell of a job. And I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, like I said, one of my favorite movies of last year. Super exciting. So like when I saw your name attached to like okay, so before we get into Muzzle, which I got a lot of questions because like I love these films. Hard watches. I'm not gonna lie. Like these aren't the easiest movies to watch. But
Good.
okay, take us through you like becoming a filmmaker. Were you the young boy sitting in a movie theater being like, "This is what I want to do"? Like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you probably were too. I mean, it's like the whole notion of trying to be a young boy, connect to your father, and like everybody, I had a very complicated relationship with my dad. Most people do, and but the one thing we really bonded on was movies. He loved movies, and he would take me to inappropriate movies. He took me to Dirty Harry. I think one of the first movies I saw with him was one of the Dirty Harry sequels. I think it was the one Clint Eastwood directed. I think it was maybe part 5. Is it Maximum Impact or Sudden Impact? Anyway,
Yes.
and so I started going back and watching all the Dirty Harry movies with him, and he showed me Psycho, and he would show me Frankenstein and the monster movies, and then take me to go see, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and then I started getting older, and I was addicted, and I was begging my mom to let me go see Indiana Jones 2, where they invented the PG-13 rating, and I was like, 10 or whatever, and she's like reading the calendar section of the LA Times, and she's like, "Oh no, you can't see. They rip a heart out. You can't see this. They've invented a new rating for this." And I was like, got down on my knees, and I said, "Please, I promise I will make my bet. I will whatever, eat my vegetables, whatever it is. Let me see this movie." And she would just drop me off in Westwood, and I would go get Reese's peanut butter cups and watch Indiana Jones 2 and like love it, and then go home, and I would record all the movies on HBO. So we would watch Terminator and like the movies where girls took their clothes off, and we would like watch all the rated R movies and like everything in the 80s. And I was an 80s kid. And so when I hear people diss movies from the 80s, I'm like, movies were fucking awesome in the 80s. What are you talking? I love Predator and I love Die Hard. I remember when I saw that in the theater, and I love Terminator and Terminator 2 and all these movies. And like, I mean, I love The Fly and David Cronenberg movies and Videodrome and horror movies. And I love Evil Dead 2 is one of my favorite movies. And like, I love these movies. And so anybody tries to diss the 80s movies, those are fighting words.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I tell my daughters, I'm like you'll never understand, like because sometimes, and I get offended in a way because I'll show them like one of those movies that you talked on. They'll be like, well, my one daughter's 18, so like I watch a lot. Like my other's 10, so we're not really there yet in terms of action movies and stuff.
I think I started showing them movies when they were like 6, 7. I was showing them Total Recall and RoboCop, and what's going on?
Well, she's getting into the Godzilla movies right now, so I'm pushing her into that. But like my daughter Sam, she's 18 now. I show her all these movies, and like and some she likes, and some she doesn't get. I'm like, what don't you get? I'm like, I think, and I go, Sam, you'll just never understand. You had to grow up during that time.
No, it's hard. When they get it, it's nothing more satisfying though. Like when I showed them, they love Die Hard. They in fact, I showed them Die Hard on Christmas Eve, every Christmas Eve, and it's become a thing. We make cookies and we watch Die Hard. And my older daughter, who's 13, we've been doing it for 4 or 5 years. We've seen it 4 or 5 times. I'm kind of sick of Die Hard at this. I've seen it 100 times. And I'm like, maybe we'll watch Backdraft or something. I don't know. We'll do something else. And she goes, no, what are you talking? We got to watch Die Hard. This is my 13-year-old. She's like, it's Christmas Eve. We watch Die Hard. What are you doing? And then so we have to. It's like I kind of made it into a thing. But when they get it, like, even 90s movies, like when I showed them The Matrix, and I did The Matrix and Truman Show doubleheader one Sunday. And because they have similar themes, don't believe what you're programmed to believe. Don't believe everything you see. And they love both of them. They love those movies. And like, so when they get it, it's just so satisfying. But when they don't, it's a bummer.
So take us through, like, because again, you had a pretty, like, high school was your first big feature film, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So like take me through that journey of like, and plus how it was received in Sundance, and you got a legit cast for like being your first feature film. That
I
was some
know.
serious firepower
I know. I know. I got an Academy Award winning actor for my first film. It was like,
right
holy shit. And Adrian Brody read that script. I remember we sent it to him in the afternoon, and the next day morning, it wasn't even 12 hours later, I get a call, and they're like, Adrian wants to get on the phone with you in like, an hour or something. He apparently hurt his neck reading the script by laughing so hard. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. And he got on the phone with me and he's like, okay. He goes, I had like 3 or 4 offers. These guys get a lot of offers. They win an Academy Award, they get a big stack of scripts.
oh yeah
And he said, I'm flipping through the offers and there's a cover letter that says, you're being offered the role of Psycho Ed. And he's like, that caught my eye, like Psycho Ed. Like, what is that? And I don't even consider they sold high school as like a zany stoner comedy, but really I considered it like a weed thriller. Like I make thrillers, like and I make weird dark movies. And so I considered that like this is gonna be like a a dark, thrilling treatise about karma biting this drug dealer in the ass. And here is a guy, and I cut out the scene, and it's on YouTube as like the teaser to high school. You should watch it. It's like it's Adrian Brody doing a monologue about like as a drug dealer, he's having this reckoning of like I've completely fucked this community. I've stole drugs, like I've ruined it, and now it's ruining me. Like I am now reaping what I sow, and he's confronting this like change of heart of this drug dealer. So it's like this weird, he's got to like make amends to society, to God, like because he's ruined, he's been demonic, like just ravaging this teenagers with drugs. And so that was really fun. And then of course I got Chickless and Colin Hanks and Yardley Smith and I mean fucking my good friend who plays Bubba Gump, what's his name?
Michael T. Williamson.
Michael T. Williamson. It was
Yeah.
amazing. And we have a really mutual friend, and he came in and played Paranoid with Psycho Ed, and Michael T., who's in Heat, one of my favorite movies. And so that was incredible. And he's such a good actor. And I got to work with fucking amazing actors. My DP falls out like 2 weeks before I'm going to shoot. I'm in the hotel, shot in Michigan. And I'm in the hotel in Michigan. And it's just playing on repeat the movie Wanted with Angelina Jolie and what's his name? Fucking come on. What's his name? Wanted with Angelina Jolie, Morgan Freeman, and
James
McAvoy. James McAvoy.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
And James McAvoy and the team were Bekhmetov movie. And I'm watching that. I'm like, I never saw it, but it was like just playing the preview over and over and over and over and over. And I'm like, this movie looks amazing. Like whoever shot this movie. And I found out the guy who shot Transformers shot it, Mitchell Amundsen. And so I just called his agent. And I'm like, hey, I lost my DP. Like, is Mitch Amundsen the director of photography of a little movie called Transformers available? And they're like, dude, you can't afford him. And I was like, can you just send him the script? They sent it to him. He was on a plane the next day, and Mitch flew out and shot that movie. And so that was just incredible. And then he got into Sundance, and it was amazing. And my agent flew out. It was like the hottest thing to have a moment like that. And then they come down to earth, and you go, oh shit, this is not going to just come so easy. This is going to be a grind. And I started doing commercials and just trying to, because you gotta make a living,
Right.
And so it was a grind, and I had to like recalibrate, and I did like 150 commercials and just kept doing them until I stopped learning stuff. And then one day I do big video game commercials for EA. I did a thing with Arlie Ermy for EA, Bullets commercials. And then I did the Expendables commercials with the cast of the video game for Ubisoft, and did all these big spots and then small shitty ones, and did everything. And then I got back to the grind and started doing indies again. I was like, I'm not gonna just be, I got fired from a bunch of studios, and then I was like, okay, so they're not just gonna hand it to me on a silver platter. I have to go out there and earn it. And I'm not gonna stop working. And I kept working, and then we started just doing indies, Crypto and Bad Hombres, winning awards with that, and doing all these movies. And it's just Muzzle and Land About and all these things have been great.
Before, okay, again, last question before we get into Muzzle. Now, I'm big on independent cinema, and actually, independent action cinema, and I'm an advocate. Like that's what I'm known for. Now,
Yeah.
and it kind of makes me mad, but like if you say independent cinema, it kind of proceeds with a bad moniker, like lower budgeted. And
Right.
like when people say independent cinema, because I'll have people like tweet me or like comment on my socials and stuff like that. Oh, another indie. I'm like some indie action or some indie movies are better than the blockbusters that you see out there.
I mean, put it this way: I do not want to talk trash about anybody who's got movies.
No, of course
Not
not.
up. But I
Yes.
will say, like, for example, look at this weekend. There's a bunch of like wild, zany, crazy stuff that costs 200 million that like do you want to go see that? Or you want to see like a movie where a filmmaker got an opportunity to do whatever he wants, a final cut in an indie. So say what you want about indies, but they are not watered down by committee. An
No.
indie film, the director lives and dies with his movie, and so or her movie. So in this case, the cut is my cut. No one, they could give me notes, and if they're good, I'll take them. But like, if I don't want to do a note, I don't do no. So the movie is a singular. You're seeing an artist's vision with a team of great, other technicians and artists and writers and cinematographers and editors, and I have a great team. But you're seeing like a legit movie, the way that the 70s movies and 80s movies used to be. They're not done by committee. These are movies with a singular vision. They're not trying to appeal to 4 quadrants of the demographic. They're appealing to their core demo, and they don't give a fuck about it. If anybody else wants to see it, great. But this is done for who I made it for who I made it for. And so they're unapologetic in that way. And so sometimes they miss, but you're telling me that the big ones that are watered down by 100 executives who are nervous don't miss? Like,
No, exactly.
they miss way more. I mean, I would much rather watch a Jeremy Saulnier movie or some outre French filmmaker
Right.
than just some watered down chaff. I don't want to see that. Maybe
Absolutely.
little kids do, but I don't. So I'm a grown man, so I want to make movies for people like me, and I'm a cinemaphile and cinephile. I like movies, and I want to watch something that's badass, that pulls no punches, that has a real aggressive, unapologetic thing. You said it's a hard watch. That's a great compliment to me. Like that's yes, thank you. Because there's plenty of easy watches out there, bro, this weekend. You can go see them if you want. And or you can go watch something that will fuck with you in a great way. You'll come out of that movie with plenty to talk about when you're eating ice cream. I guarantee you.
And that's a perfect segue because now, like, let's get into Muzzle. Now, I remember when the first one was coming out, because I posted the trailer and everything, and I was like, and I
Cool.
watched the trailer. I was like, because again, I'm a product of the '80s. Of course, you had K9 with James Belushi and Turner Hooch with Tom Hanks. So you had cop dog movies back in the day, but those are those. And again, I enjoy them for what they were. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, Tom Hanks, figured out like in his movie, you don't kill the dog, but
Right.
I can't say that about you.
No,
But
I never figured that one out yet. I haven't figured
yeah.
it out yet.
So I watched the movie, right? And I'm a big Aaron Eckhart fan. I think he's like a below the radar action star. Like he is
Yeah.
like one of the most legit action stars working today. And nobody really thinks about it.
Well, the thing is, like, he's a really good actor. So it's
Yes.
sometimes
Yes.
they think of action stars being like he's a great kickboxer, or he's this guy who knows kung fu and he can,
right.
like when they made Chuck Norris an action star. By the way, I fucking loved Delta Force when I grew up, but
that's my favorite.
The acting wasn't the best part about it, right? It was Chuck Norris could kick ass, and so
He had
Chuck
10
Norris
lines in the whole movie.
would kick ass. Right. So yes, I love those movies, and I loved American Ninja with Michael Dudikoff and all those movies. But like Michael Dudikoff wasn't like a great actor, and Jeff Fahey's not a good actor, and Chuck Norris not a good actor. But they're awesome in what they were doing. What you have with Aaron Eckhart is you have a great actor. Okay. Legit great actor. Or Steven Soderbergh wouldn't put him in Aaron Brockovich. Oliver Stone wouldn't put him in Any Given Sunday. Clint Eastwood wouldn't put him in Sully. Like these are great film directors hiring this guy. Sean Penn cast him in whatchamacallit with Jack Nicholson. it's like Benicio del Toro, Jack Nicholson, and Aaron.
Mhm.
Um, Suspect Zero with Ben Kingsley. I'm just saying, like he's a legit uh, actor. He's got chops. He tries really hard. So he's able to play these very morally complex characters, like you did from In the Company of Men to
Mhm.
Your Friends and Neighbors to Thank You for Smoking, where he's playing like a sort of a guy who could grin and be a psychopath. In the
Yeah.
Company of Men, very affable and likable, but could absolutely destroy another human being. And it's like the most vicious, brutal thing, dark thing you've ever seen. And of course, culminating in Two-Face, right? Where he's like the Jungian shadow guy, where he's like
Yeah.
Harvey Dent,
Yeah.
but he lives long enough to see himself become the bad guy, and he becomes an absolute psychopath, willing to murder a kid in the end. And
Yeah.
so you've got this guy who's got incredible acting chops, who excels brilliantly at playing the shadow side, right? A guy who's super California likable dude, natural. He comes across natural like any given Sunday. You got wheels, but you got wheels, you can move, and he's just like,
Yeah.
yo, I don't know what he's doing. I didn't call this play. It's like doesn't seem like he's reading dialogue.
Right.
And he's very natural, and because he works so hard at it, he's got really, really, really solid acting chops. But then he works really hard at like controlling the dog and then working out, staying in great shape, and doing the fight training. And he fight
He
trains,
puts the work in. Yeah, he
puts the
puts the
work in.
work in.
Oh, you should
Absolutely.
see him with the stunt team.
Yeah.
He is training on these fights as much as he's getting in the zone with the dog to train the dog, because he's a method actor. So I'm going to be a dog trainer. I'm going to train these dogs. I want to train them. I don't want trainers behind me going, it's look over here, look, all
Right.
this stuff. He's going to control the dog. And that was incredible. So he's doing all this work with the dog. You see him walking around the set, controlling it, working with the animal handler. Then he's working with the stunt team. Then he's off in a corner, getting himself all riled up for the emotional scenes with his wife. And he's getting himself all, the way Adrian Brody would in high school before he's supposed to be beating himself up and, crying and laughing and making in this crazy scene where he punches himself in the face, and I see Adrian Brody getting all beating himself up, to try to really become emotional. Aaron does the same thing. He's doing it privately, but
Right.
I see him doing it, and you know, when he's supposed to be on dosed with fentanyl in the first movie, I see him. He's out there spinning around to the point where he's sick from nauseated from being dizzy. Like he's that committed to doing it. I mean, it's that Dustin Hoffman, New York, Stella Adler thing where it's like he's completely committed. And I think what drives a lot of people, drives me, and I think it certainly drives him. I don't want to speak for him, but just what I've seen in our collaboration is like, we're both terrified of not doing it good.
Mm.
I want to make a really good movie and I want to satisfy the audience and just do it well. And he wants to do the same thing. So he does not want to mess it up. So he's just memorized the script a year in advance. And I'm talking about day one of production. He can give you the final, if there's a monologue in the last day of shooting, he'll give it to you on day one at lunch. Like he'll just rattle it off. And because he does not want to not know it. So
Right.
he is the opposite of these horror stories you hear about an actor who shows up with like out knowing his lines or doing all that bullshit. No, he's there on time and he knows this shit backwards and forwards and he can deliver it in his sleep. So now he can play with these like real emotions. So it's a very emotionally complex performance. I think it's a great performance in Sitting
Mhm.
Wolves for an action movie. It's like a very emotionally raw, complex performance.
So like again on the layer, like you see the poster and everything, especially like for the first one, like oh it's a cop and a dog and this and that. There's so many more layers. There's PTSD you're dealing with,
Yeah.
and again like this goes back to like a lot of times like especially within the recent years the damaged hero I call it like I don't want to say he's anti-hero because that's kind of like
Yeah.
the Punisher or something. Like, I mean, he can't. I mean, but he's thrown into it, like in a sense. But
Yeah.
he's definitely damaged, from the war and everything, and from the streets that he's working on and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
take us why you wanted to create this world and do it in the sense of through the eyes of a canine officer and his dog.
Well, the world is just a reflection of the world the way that I see it, right? So I live in LA, I grew up in LA, I was born in Hollywood, I live in Hollywood right now. And so it's a reflection of the world that I see. When I go down and film the precinct here in LA, I'm filming the real precinct. That's just that's me pulling up with no permits and my cinematographer and just stealing the precinct. And I
Guerrilla
read
filmmaking, right?
it's guerrilla,
Yeah.
and I remember like reading some review about it. Of course, I do read the reviews, and I love to torture myself. And excuse me, I see there's junkies shooting up outside the police station. There's homeless tents all over the police station downtown, and it's just like right in Skid Row. And I remember people being like, "What kind of fever dream is this? This guy actually put fake junkies outside the police." I'm like, "That's the real police station. I didn't dress that at all. All the tents and the stuff you see in this movie and the first movie, that's all real." LA, if you haven't been here, is a great city. It's a crazy city. It's wild and it's out of control. And I like it because I'm a little bit of a nut like that, and I like things to be surprises around every corner. But sometimes a surprise can be someone taking a shit on your front lawn, and sometimes it can be, you make a wrong turn off the freeway and you are in
Right.
52 square blocks long Skid Rows. So it is like a labyrinth. You were stuck in a maze. And one time I ran out of gas in Skid Row. And I was like in Night of the Living Dead. It was, and it's like wild, man. And, so you have to admit, like, this is the world we live in. And when you portray LA, they're like, so you're going to want a white convertible with some palm trees and the Michael Bay, Tony Scott orange light coming in, like True Romance. And you're like, that's not LA anymore.
Right.
LA is something different. It is what it is. And let's show it the way it really is. And in terms of a canine cop, the idea had come to me when we wrapped Crypto. I got the idea when I was driving down the freeway towards the wrap party in Manhattan in the rain. I saw a New York canine SUV driving on the freeway. And as we're pulling up alongside him in the left lane, you can imagine it's like almost like a tracking shot. I saw the guy and he's talking like this. He's talking blah, 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 blah. And it just I was mindlessly watching him and expecting him to be talking to a person. And he was talking to the dog in the front seat. And I thought, oh, they just talk to their dogs in the front like that? Like I thought they ride in the back. Like, that's crazy. And then I walk in the wrap party and I bump into Carlisle Eubank, whose brother directed Land of Bad. And Carlisle wrote Crypto and wrote Muzzle 1. And I bumped in the first person I saw and I said, hey, dude, is this a movie? Canine officer, he's talking. You reveal he's a cop, and then you reveal he's talking to a dog. That's his partner. And they're really talking like people. And then you get to the crime scene, and 10 minutes in, this is Muzzle 1. The dog dies.
Yeah.
When dogs die in military and or police, they have a full dress funeral.
As well they should. Yeah.
As well they should. They're officers. When you kill a dog in a lot of different cities, some they don't, it's considered, assault or murder of an officer. So it's, they take it that seriously. And so that's 10 minutes. Then you have the funeral. And then I was like, is that a movie setup? He's like, yeah. And he's like, dude, did you know that they speak German to dogs? And do you know, and I said, no, I didn't know that. What? They do? He said, yeah, because they speak, so the suspects and criminals don't know how to communicate to them. There's this whole world, and I raise German Shepherds, and I should do. And so we started working on the script like right away at the wrap party of Crypto. And setting in LA made sense because Carlisle's an old school LA guy. I'm old school LA guy, so it's what we knew, and it's an interesting backdrop for saying something about the world we live in today. And maybe this guy, who's a very complex character, can be a reflection of something relevant today, and make it appealing. And hopefully, we did.
So, okay, now of course, like when it came out, I watched it, loved it. But listen, you're very mean to Jake Rosser, Aaron Eckhart's character, because at the end of the last one, he's in a good place. The dog lived. Of course, it's missing a leg now, but that's okay. He's got a wife, he's got a baby, and it's like, oh, he's happy. And now, did you plan on making a sequel? Did you plan on making this a franchise? Because then we're thrown back into it, and then his world goes to shit once again.
Yeah. Well, what happened was I originally did not plan on doing a sequel, but we were going to have a much more bleak ending to Muzzle 1.
Oh.
Yeah, and Muzzle 1 was going to really portray, just in terms of the ending, like the dog did live, and the dog had 3 legs, survived, and he's with the girl that he met in his apartment, and they have a thing going. But what we show Jake at the end there is he has no qualms about surviving a suicide mission, right? Like he went on a suicide mission. He went
Right.
in to single-handedly murder a street gang in LA with a shotgun, with no gloves. He throws the shotgun down. He leaves his prints. He's not expecting to get out of there. In fact, in the very end, he throws his gun down and he's confronting suicide, right? Because that's the whole theme of this character being, obsessed with the sort of suicidal ideation that he has and being fatalistic. And so he is not expecting to get out of this situation, but he does through confronting the notion of suicide, right? He gets out of it and doesn't expect to. And when you hear in the radio report at the end, like, oh, these bodies have been uncovered in this landfill, like he just ditched the bodies in a land, like he's a murderer. Like
Yeah.
he murdered them all. And when you see him, you hear the radio, he switches off the radio and he doesn't give a flying fuck. And he's talking about making eggs and making an omelet
Right.
with
Yeah.
his son.
In Iraq, yeah, like
Iraq.
making like eggs on rocks.
Yeah, that you could literally cook an egg on a rock and you can
Yeah.
make a taco. And he's like just kind of being this California, and you're like, oh, interesting. He like survived a suicide attempt, killed an entire gang he didn't think he was going to walk away from, and doesn't give a fuck that he did it. And he's like Charles Bronson in Death Wish. He has no qualms about it. Well, is he a psychopath? It's like he's a good guy. Talk about anti-hero, but he's also able to kill. He has this. He's a killing machine, like this animal is. And how he feels about it. Anyway, I was gonna have LA still portray it like just it was a mess. And when we were shooting downtown at Skid Row, it was the first day that they opened up the Sixth Street, bridge that goes over the LA River. Right. And it's a beautiful piece of city municipal architecture. This beautiful, beautiful, insanely beautiful bridge, this esplanade or whatever they call it. And they literally were taking the tape off as we were driving. We were the first car to drive on the bridge. And I just said to my DP, let's just roll the camera. And we just drove down this beautiful new bridge. And the sun was shining over downtown LA. And it's like, there was a kind of this element of hope that we imbued with the end with his dog and the city. And you don't see LA as like this horrible place. Like there is hope.
Right.
Of course, like 2 weeks later, after we filmed that, these car gangs were doing these like donuts on the bridge, and they burnt the bridge out, and they had to put in speed bumps, and then people were like committing suicide up the bridge, and then like graffitiing the bridge, and like the bridge got trashed, and you're just like, oh no, it's fucked. Like it's fucked. So, and I know some people will be like, well, that is a symptomatic of the institutional rage felt by disenfranchised people, and you're like, no, it's LA. This is LA, dude.
This is where we live.
This is my hometown. This is LA. That's LA. And so, so it became a lot more hopeful, and there is hope in the beginning of this movie, right? Like, but the truth is that like that's when the devil comes for this guy. Is like when he's trying to make things right. He's battling sobriety. He's a year sober. He's battling his PTSD, his nightmares. He's trying to be start a small business training dogs, attack dogs. There again,
right?
It's like selling cars. Each one is $40,000 or $50,000. It's a lot of money in dogs. So this is a small business, a legit small business, and he's out of LA County. He's like up the coast in Ventura. It's kind of where he fits in, and he drives a pickup, and he's training dogs and trying to be a father and a husband. And of course, like, the sins of our past, you can't just blow off murdering a street gang that's effectively the distribution one arm to a drug cartel.
Right. And so, and actually you bring up like you mentioned about him and like how it comes back to, because I love the scene in the new one, in the second one that's coming out, where he's driving. He's like, did I do something wrong? What did I do? We're like this key, like, I love that scene because, we all say that to ourselves at one point or another. I'm like, did I do something wrong? Like, am I a bad person? Like, why can't I be happy type of thing?
Right. And it's like, look, I mean, that's kind of the dark night of the soul thing where he's like confronting, his own, what he is inside. And you know, am I wrong to do this? In the beginning of the movie, he stands strong about what he did. When he's being investigated for what he did, and he's potentially facing like going to prison for the rest of his life for murdering this gang from movie one. The detective says it to him. Even if you smoke the bad guys, it's still murder. Like you can't, you're not Judge Dredd. You can't just go off murdering people because they fuck with your dog. You know, but he says to his dog, he says, okay, he goes, is it moral? Yeah. Is it legal? No. He's, you know, he says, it's not a question of legality, you know, but that's the question. Like, it's a question of morality. And then later on, he has to really say, like, am I being punished for this? You know, am I?
Now I got to let you go here. You've been awesome. Like this has been I love getting in depth because I love these movies. But I don't want to spoil anything. But like, is there hopes of a third one? Because if not, I'm just gonna be like,
No, I don't just punch you in the gut for no reason.
Yeah, because you punched me in the gut. I just literally watched it before I got on. This morning because I wanted to watch, and I was just like, "You motherfucker!"
No, but I love that because, like, you know, like you as a film watcher, and I see you have Commando behind you, one of my favorites. I love Commando. I showed Commando, by the way, to my daughters recently. Great movie to show to your daughter if you have a young daughter because it's a story about a love story between a father and a daughter, and what he's willing to do to save his daughter and protect her. And so it's a great, of course, the whole gay subtext between Bennett and John.
Yeah, can't forget that.
Yeah. But that actor, I forget his name. He's the bad guy in Road Warrior as well. He always imbues his characters.
Vernon Wells,
Vernon Wells. He's always like kind of this like gay S&M bad guy, and like it makes his characters like such a weird, interesting level to the movie that it's like a gay love story between John Matrix and Bennett. Anyway, but and like the phallic symbol of the pole and the steam, of course, through his heart too. It goes through his heart, piercing his heart. But we could get into that another time. I will say, you and I both deserve it. We deserve to be punched like this. And yes, there is a Muzzle 3 that makes it all better. And all the studio has to do is say go. But we have the script finished like this morning. It's done, and Aaron is on board. And if the studio says it's I don't want to make an official announcement yet. So, you know, as soon as my phone rings and you know, it's the correct math, then we'll say we'll go make it.
Awesome. Yeah, I need another one. Like I need the trilogy. Yeah.
Can I tell you, dude? By the way, the trilogy was going to be it, but now we even have an idea from it's fucking amazing, Muzzle 4. So don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Okay. Well, I gotta let you go again. It's Muzzle City of Wolves again. Visceral. Like, I mean, I like how it's a slow burn, but then you get punched with the action sequences and stuff like that. The dog action, there's a lot more dog action per se in this one too, which was pretty cool. So again, it just ups the level of the first one, which was great. So again, congratulations with the movie. Congratulations with the first one. Congratulations with everything in your career and the future. And I hope if there is, when there is another Muzzle, I hope I get to talk to you again and pick your brain because you're delightful.
I would love it. Thank you so much for the time. And the movie opens this Friday, November 14th. City of Wolves in theaters everywhere.
Listen, and again, just it's a hard watch, but it's an enjoyable one, and it's a successful.
It's one I think we deserve, and it's one we need to as cinephiles step up and take.
Absolutely,
take our punishment. Like men.
All right, John. Well, John, your name's John. Mine, so there. I knew you were going to be a cool guy right there. So have a good rest of the day. Good luck with the movie.
Take care, John.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.